Welcome once again. So today we are going to be talking about secure hash algorithm or SHA-1. So our agenda in today's discussion is fairly simple. We will give a little bit of introduction of hash function and cryptographic hash function, and then we will directly go into the design of SHA-1. SHA-1 is a specific hash function which is used for cryptographic purposes. So recall from our earlier lecture video, we have given there the definition of a cryptographic hash function. So what is a cryptographic hash function? A cryptographic hash function is a hash function which maps, this is important, arbitrary length text down to a fixed size text, and it is a hash function designed in such a way that the forward computation, that means from the plain text using this hash algorithm coming down to this hash output is fairly easy, and it is also deterministic, means every time you will give the same input you will get the same output. But all kinds of backward or reverse computations are hard. What does that mean? That means given the image or the hash output and the hash function, we cannot generate the pre-image, the original text, or the second pre-image, that means we cannot come up with another text whose hash output is same, or we cannot detect any collision also. So a cryptographic hash function is a hash function which maps arbitrary length text to a fixed size text, where the forward computation is easy and deterministic, and all kinds of backward computations are fairly hard, very hard. So that is actually a cryptographic hash function. Now before entering into the design of SHA-1, we will be talking about an important thing which is called avalanche effect. Now recall, for a good hash function, what is the required property is, if we change a single character or a single bit, then the whole output of the hash function should be changed. For example, here the hash output of hello world is this one, and you can check it out. I have just changed this E to A, and this entire output is completely changed. So that is called a good hash function. And a bad hash function is something like, so whenever I have changed this E to A, most of the things are exactly same, only a little portion of the hash output is changed or few bits are changed. That is called a bad hash function. So our design of a hash algorithm, we have to keep in our mind that the hash algorithm should be such that even a small change in the input will completely change the output. So now let us come to the design of secure hash algorithm or SHA-1. Now this SHA-1, its fundamental design is based on Merkle-Damgard model. What is a Merkle-Damgard model? So Merkle-Damgard model, its idea is something like this. Suppose we have an arbitrary long text. So what we are going to do, we are going to make this arbitrary long text into separate fixed size blocks. For example, block x1, block x2, block x3, all of them are of fixed size, and we are going to take each and every block as input and the hash output of the previous block as the input, and we are going to generate the hash output. So for example, whenever I am computing x2 here, I will take the hash output of x1, and then hash output of x1 and plain text x2 is going to give me hash output of x2. And whenever I will compute x3, I will use this h1 here. So I will take this h2 here, and I will take this h3, and that is going to give me h3 as the hash output of the x3. So in that way we will take block by block of the original text and we will try generate the hash output, and the final block's output will be the output of the actual text using this hash function. So, that is called Merkle-Damgard model, and most of the modern designs follow this model, and our hash SHA-1, which is a secure hash algorithm, that also follows the same model. Now, little bit of terminologies that I would like to tell you, that whenever there is a plain text, first of all I will use some sort of padding at the end after this plain text. What is the purpose of this padding and why this padding is needed, we will discuss just after a moment. And then in case of SHA-1, we will break this entire text into small blocks in that way. And this is important to note that each and every block will have a size of 512 bits. So, block size which we are taking as input, it is 512 bit, and the hash output is 160 bit. So, it is actually bringing 512 bit down to 160 bit. And whenever we are using some, say for example xi, we are taking the hash output of the previous one, that is called hi minus 1. So, there are actually two inputs to this hash function. One is h previous hash output and xi. So, these are the two inputs to this hash function, and that is going to give me the hash output of the present text, which we call as hi. Okay. So, xi is the current raw text for which we are going to compute the hash output. Hi is the output that will be generated, that is the hash output of xi, and h0 is the initial value, and hi minus 1 is the hash output of the previous one. Now, what is h0? h0 is required because whenever you are computing the very first block, so you need the hash output of the previous block, but there is no previous block, because this is the first block for which we are going to compute the hash. So, in that case we will take certain predefined values as the input of the previous block. So, that is called initial values, those are nothing but constants, and what are those constants I will tell you at the very end of this lecture. Now, come down to this padding. So, recall we have stated earlier that we need some sort of padding on the text. So, why this padding is needed? Fairly simple. This padding is required because in case of our SHA-1, recall we need a 512 bit block of text each and every time. Now, what will happen if my text is not an integer multiple of 512? So, it is not of size 512 bit exactly or 1024 bits, which is 2 into 512, it is not of that size, it is some arbitrary size. So, what will happen? So, in that case we will add certain bits, here, so that the text x plus padding will become some integer multiple of 512. So, that is the idea. So, that is why we add this padding kind of a stuff. Now, before understanding how this padding is actually done, let us try to explore some more information about SHA-1. So, in our cryptographic hash functions definition, we have stated that a cryptographic hash function generally maps arbitrary length text to a fixed size text, but this is not essentially true for the SHA-1. It does not take arbitrary length text, it takes a text whose size is 2 to the power 64 minus 1, maximum this much, it is not infinite. So, if the text its number of bits is maximum up to 2 to the power 64 minus 1, then your SHA-1 can handle it. But if you think this is a very small number, it is actually not, because 2 to the power 30 bits means 1 GB, 2 to the power 40 bits means 1 TB, 2 to the power 50 bits means 1000 TB, 2 to the power 60 bits means thousands of thousands TB, and it is even more than that. It is 2 to the power 64, that means it is essentially so thousand of thousand means 1 million, so 16 million TB actually. So it is a very huge, so a single file having those much of size, SHA-1 can handle. Now come down to an important question. The question is, this is important to understand this pattern. So the question is, how many bits are required to represent the length of the original text? How many bits are required to represent the length, not the text itself? How many bits are required to represent the length of the text? Now the answer to this question is, if my maximum file size is allowed, which is allowed is 2 to the power 64 minus 1. So if my file size can vary from 0 to 2 to the power 64, then I need 64 bits, and this 64 is coming from this 64. And if this thing is not at all clear to you, I will give you one example and the thing will be clear to you. Suppose in some case suppose the allowed length is 2 to the power 6 minus 1, that means 63. So in some hash algorithm, the maximum text length that is allowed is 63 bits. So you cannot take a text which is longer than 63 bits, that means you cannot take a text which is 80 bit long or 90 bit long or so. Suppose maximum allowed length is 63 bits. For example, this is a text, it is a valid text because its length is below 63 or less than 63. Now how many bits are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, in that way if you count you will get 15. So length of the text is 15. Now my question is, how many bits are required to represent this 15, not this text. This text requires 15 bits, but to write down 15, how many bits are required? I need only 4 bits to represent this 15. So that is what I mean by representation of the length of the text. So my text is 15 bit, but the length of the text requires only 4 bits to represent. Now for example, the maximum possible text which is a 63 bit long, so the length is essentially 63. How many bits do I need? I need essentially 6 bits. You can check it out, this is equal to 6 bits, and this 6 is essentially coming from this one. So if my maximum possible file size is 2 to the power 64 minus 1, then I need 64 bit. So 64 bit to represent the length, not the text. Text will require 2 to the power 64 up to. So whenever there is a large text, it may be terabytes, it may be 1000 terabytes of text, but no matter what the text is, I need only 64 bit to represent the length of the text. That is the idea. So now come down to this padding. Now in case of padding we do exactly the same thing. So come down to this visualization and thing will be clear to you in a moment. So we will first take the message, raw message, whatever it is, and the last 64 that is reserved for representation of the length, because I know I really don't need more than 64 bits, and then in between we add certain bits starting with 1 and all other zeros in such a way that this entire thing will become integer multiple of 512 bit. Okay. So let us take an example, the thing will be even clear to you. Suppose I have a text something like this. For example, this is say for example 100 character long. So 100 character means in case of ASCII characters, each and every ASCII character requires 8 bits. So 100 character means altogether they are 800 bits. So there are 100 characters means the total text its length is 100 bit. Now that is the length of the character, which is 800. Now how many bits are required to represent this 800? So this is actually this one. So this is essentially the binary representation of 800. Okay. So what am I going to do? I am going to place this character string here. The length of the text I will place here. Again I will take 64 bits. I know that there are only few bits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So these 10 bits will be there and remaining all other leading bits will be 0. So altogether this is 64. So this is 64 and this is 800. So what is the total? The total is 864. Now which is the nearest multiple of 512, which is more than 864? That is equal to 1024. So now if I calculate, I will get I need 160 more bits, so that this 800 bit message, 64 bit for the representation of the length of the text, and this 160 together will give me this 1024, which is an integer multiple of 512, which is just above 864. So this 160 bit I am going to make a padding. So this 164 bit I will insert in between the text and the length, and in this way the first bit will be 1 and the remaining 159 bits will be populated with 0. So this thing is now essentially the final text that we will feed to our SHA-1 algorithm. And now you should know that this is exactly an integer multiple of 512 bits. So now we know what is padding. So come down to the block diagram of the SHA-1. Recall once again, xi is the current raw text, 512 bits, hi is the output, hash output, h0 is the initial value. What is the value? We will talk at the very end of this lecture. And now I know that I can take exactly 512 bit block. So this is essentially 512 bit, this is essentially 512 bit, and so on and so forth. And the output will be 160 bit. So SHA output is 160 bit, SHA-1. Okay. So come down to even more deeper to the SHA-1. Now I know that we will accept 512 bits. So what the SHA-1 does, it actually breaks these 512 bits into 16 different sub blocks, each of which is of 32 bit long, and we call them as words. Once again, so this 512 bits we divide into 16 sub blocks. So obviously 32 into 16 is equal to 512. So this each and every sub block of 32 bits, they are called one word. Again, this previous hashes output, which is now 160 bit long, will also divide them into 32 bit word, but in this case it is only going to give me 5 different blocks. So 32 into 5 is equal to 160. So 5 different words will come from the previous hashes output, and 16 different words will come from the present raw text. This is a bit complicated design, but keep patience, whenever I will discuss, the thing will be clear. Recall, this 160 bit I will mark it as 1, and this 512 bit I will mark it as 2, and this one is essentially this one. So this is the previous hashes output, which is coming in this way, and the text which is coming, it is coming from this way. So this is our raw text xi, but it is not coming directly, it is coming through this message schedule part. I will discuss it later, but let us try to understand this block diagram. So, this block diagram says that all these 5 words, recall in our previous slide we have stated that we have taken 5 different words of this 160 bits. So, those we will give a name A, B, C, D, E, each of which are of 32 bit long. So, this is 32 bit, this is 32 bit, 32 bit, 32 bit, 32 bit, A, B, C, D, E, and they are passed to this block diagram. And in our SHA-1 there are 4 different stages: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 and stage 4. And stage 1 will have 20 different rounds, so also stage 2, stage 3 and stage 4. So, altogether SHA-1 will have 80 different rounds, and in this stage 1 all the 20 rounds are doing exactly the same thing. In stage 2 all the 20 different rounds are exactly doing the same thing. In that way it works. So, whenever I will go further into the detail of these stages, the thing will be clear. But as of now, just remember some 32 bit blocks are coming: A, B, C, D, E. So, some sort of computations are going on here in the stage 1, then this A, B, C, D are coming out of the stage 1, and you have to remember that this A1 is not actually channelized to this A1. So, there is a good amount of mixing. So, maybe this A1, a part of that is coming to here, part of that is coming to here, part of that is coming to here, part of that is coming to here. So, that is also true for all other words. So, for example, for C, a part of C is coming here. So, in that way it is working. So, it is not that every block is separately propagating to that same number. This is not going to happen. This is not happening actually. Okay. So, it will pass to stage 2, then to stage 3, then to stage 4, then the final output will come, and no matter what output comes, we will take the raw hash, previous hash input, that is the word A, and whatever I have computed out of these 4 stages, I will make them XOR. So, this is essentially XOR. So, this raw word and the final computed word I will XOR, and that is going to my first 32 bit. Then whatever was there in this B word and whatever I have obtained in this after this 80 rounds or these 4 stages, I will XOR them and I will get this B. Similarly, I will get this C, get this D and get this E. So, this 160 is the hash output of this Xi. Now, recall, if I really need to compute Xi plus 1, so what am I going to do in that case? So, I am going to pass this entire thing and I will again break this Hi into 5 different parts: E, D, C, B, A, and I will take this Xi as Xi plus 1, and in that case the hash of Xi plus 1 will be computed. So, in that way for each and every block it will compute. So, for each and every block it will take 80 steps or 80 rounds. So, that will compute the hash output of one 512 block, and that hash output will be fed to this hash function for computation of the next block's hash output. That is the idea. Well, so this is this one, but now come down to this raw text. So, this raw text, which is a 512 bit long, it will be passed to some message scheduling module, and that will expand this 512 bit into 2560 bits. This is important. So, this 512 bit we will somehow expand to 2560 bit, and recall this 2560 bit is essentially equal to 80 into 32, and 32 is our word size and 80 is our number of rounds. So, what will happen that in each and every round I will supply one word and some sort of work will be done there. So, some sort of work will be done on the word in each and every round. So, there are 80 rounds. So, 80 different words of 32 bit size is there. So, it will work in that way. So, in each and every round we will take one word, we will work on that, then we will pass it to the next round, the next word will be taken. In that way 80 different words will be there and 80 different rounds are there. So, we will work in that way. So, let us now come to this message scheduling part. So, how we are going to expand this 512 bit to 2560 bits. Here is the formula. The formula is, recall we have actually 512 bits, which is the original message. Now 512 bits means it is essentially equal to 32 into 16. So already 16 words are there. So these 16 words are from here to here. These are the 16 words. So all these 16 words will be directly fed. So W0 whenever we need in our, so once again go back here. So whenever it is a question of W0, it is directly the first 32 bits of the raw text. Whenever it is a question of W1, then it is the second 32 bit of the raw text. But that is not true for W19 because W19 is not there. So 512 maximum can go up to 16. So as long as W up to 15. So as long as W15 is there, the raw text will be fed. So how am I supposed to generate this W16? So this is the formula for generating all others. So suppose whenever j equal to 16, I need to compute the W16. So W16 means put j equal to 16. So W0, 16 minus 16, 0. W0, 16 minus 14, which is equal to this 2. W2, so W0, W2, W8 and W13. So we will take these 4 words and we will take XOR of them, and there is something which is called bit rotation. It is a rotation by 1. So what is a rotation by 1? So we will take, so suppose this is the final output of the XOR and it is 32 bit. It is not actually, but let us assume that it is a 32 bit word, and this is going to be 32 bit because this word is 32 bit, 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 and we are going to take the XOR of them. So the result is going to be 32 bit. So now this rotation by 1 is essentially I will take this bit off. So the remaining bits are essentially this one, and then we will add this bit at the very end. So I will not really discard it permanently. I will take this bit out from here and I will put it here, and the resultant is this bit pattern, that is going to be our W16. That is going to be our W16. Okay. So take W0, W2, W8, W13, take the XOR of that, and then the first bit put it at the very end, and that is going to be our W16. So whenever j equal to 17, we just need to shift this entire thing just by one position, and this is going to be the thing. So in that case, say for example, whenever we need to compute W17, so it is going to become j equal to 17. So 17 minus 16, which is equal to 1, and then 17 minus 14, which is equal to 3. In that way, just flipping or shifting the entire positions by 1 is going to give me whatever is the value of W17. So in that case, what will happen? Suppose after XOR we have got this value, which is, let us suppose 32 bit. So this 1 will come out because of this operation, and this remaining bit will be at the very beginning, and this n1 will be placed at the very end, and this is the final outcome, and that is going to be W17. So in that way, if we proceed sequentially, we can compute W17, then W18, then W19 up to W79. Recall, in our case we need from W0 to W79, those are the 80 different words. So now we know how to compute watts. Typically we know how to compute this 2560 bits from this 512 bits. So now we know. So now I will discuss any one particular stage, typically maybe stage number 2. So for our convenience, what I will do, I will flip the stage, so that now instead of propagating it from left to right, I can visualize it as if it is propagating from top to bottom. So now you can check it out. So this is A, this is A, this is E, this is E, and the same corresponding output. So this is A and this is A, this is E, this is E, in that way. So simply I am just making it more convenient for our understanding. So now this same round, the same stage, we will visualize in a top down pattern. Okay. So this is our stage 2. Recall, we have taken two new things, one is a function, another is a constant, and that will only be the difference between stages. So stage 1 will have function 1 and constant 1, stage 2 will have function 2 and constant 2, stage 3 will have function 3 and constant 3, stage 4 will have function 4 and constant 4. So that is the only difference, otherwise all other things are exactly same. And recall, in our stages, we know that in stage 1 we will feed W0 to W19, and in stage 2 we will feed W20 to W39. So these 20 words of the raw text are somehow generated from the raw text using the message scheduling. So those 20 words starting from W20 to W39, that will be fed to the second stage. And in third stage we will use function 3 and K3, and the words will be from W40 to W59. So if I expand this stage, you will see there are some 20 rounds. So this is round number 1, this is round number 20 in our stage 2, or if we see this thing from global context, so it is R20 to R39, round number 20 in the global context, because some stage 1 is there, there also we have seen 20 different rounds. So it is round number 20 to round number 39. So here round number 0 to round number 19 we have already computed, and it is round number 20 to round number 39 in global context, and in this stages context it is round number 1 of the second stage to the round number 20. Now check it out, in round number 1 we will fetch word number 20 and some sort of computations will be there. In round number 2 we will fetch word number 21, round number 3 we will fetch word number 22, in that way, and round number 20 we will fetch this word number 39. So each and every word will be fed to each and every round. Now let us come down to this round operation. So what is happening there inside one round? This is the design. This one I have, this picture I have taken from the Wikipedia, but recall once again that there are 5 different things which are coming, A, B, C, D, E, and once again recall that these A, B, C, D, E are essentially coming from the previous hash output, A, B, C, D, E, either in this way or by propagating from some stage to some other stage. So these are our A, B, C, D, E. So these A, B, C, D, E are essentially this A, B, C, D, E. So this is our A, this is 32 bit, this is our B, 32 bit, 32 bit, 32 bit, 32 bit. Now what the round function is doing? So A is directly coming to this second block, this 32 bit is copied to this second block, C is directly copied to this D, and D is directly copied to this E. So no change is there. For B there is a certain change, So, this is essentially rotation by 30 bits and it is coming down to this C, and for A which is coming from here, there is a certain amount of computations. So, what is this computation? So, recall in our earlier cases we have stated that we need function 2 and k2. So, this is our function 2 and this is our constant, and this is the word which we are taking. Say for example, it is W20 or W21, whatever it is, depending upon the stage and the round. So, what we are taking, essentially we are taking the B 32 bit, C 32 bit and D 32 bit, and we are passing that thing to our function, and that function is doing some sort of computation and it is generating a 32 bit output. So, let us not concentrate on what this function is computing. Somehow it is computing, we will see it later, but it is taking 3 32 bit word and it is generating one 32 bit word. So, this word that has been generated by this function and the last block or last word E, we will make XOR. With that we will make XOR of the bit flipped A 32 bit and we will get this one, and then with that we will make XOR with the word, and with the output of that we will make XOR with this constant. So, once again B 32 bit, C 32 bit, D 32 bit will pass to a function that will generate one 32 bit. Some bit rotation of A will generate another 32 bit. So, E 32 bit and this function's output we will XOR that output, and this word which is coming from the rotation of A we will make XOR that output with the word typically W20 we will XOR that output, and the constant we will XOR, and that final XORed output will be placed to A. That is typically one round operation. So, all of the rounds operation are exactly same except the function and the constant. So, now let us take even a closer look what is the meaning of this thing, rotation by 5 or rotation by 13. I have taken only rotation by 5. Rotation by 5 means we will simply take first 5 bits, we will separate them out, that means this text will come at the very front and this text I will place at the end. So, that is called rotation by 5. So, now you know rotation by 30 means we will take 30 bits from the front and we will add them at the end of the text. Okay. Now, come down to these functions and these constants. So, this function, so now recall function always takes B, C, D. So, the input to the function is B 32 bit word, C 32 bit word and D 32 bit words. And for first stage, stage number 1 means round number 0 to round number 19. So, in that case function is B and C, or so this is and this is and this is or. So, B and C or B and D. So, that I will use for the first 20 rounds, and the corresponding constant is this one. So, recall this constant is having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hexadecimal numbers, that means 32 bits. So, this is also 32 bit. For the second stage, that means round number 20 to 39, we will use this function B XOR C XOR D. This is XOR. And the corresponding constant is this one, again this is 32 bit. For stage number 3, that is round number 40 to round number 59, we will use this function, and the corresponding constant we will use here is this constant, and for stage number 4, which is from round number 60 to 79, we will use this function. Recall, this function and this function are essentially same, but we will give it a different name, B XOR C XOR D, and the corresponding constant is this constant. So that is our SHA-1. So now you just check it out that we know all of the details of SHA-1, except that we really do not know what the initial H0 values are. So recall, whenever we hash something, say for example we hash x2 or x3, we need the x3, that is the 512 bit raw text, and the hash output of the previous one. Now in case of the first 512 bit, how shall I get the previous hash output, because that is the first block of text. So in that case we use some initial H0 values, and here are those values. So this is essentially first 32 bits, or A, that I will put here. And recall, it is a hexadecimal number, it is having 8 different digits, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So altogether there are 32 bits, and this B initially will take this value, this is constant, C will take this value, D will take this value, and E will take this value. So whenever I will consider the first block, I will consider previous hash value as this 160 bits. And so the idea is, so I will use H0 and x1 to get the hash output of x1, which is equal to h1. Then I will use h1, which is the hash of the previous one, and x2, which is the current block, to get the value of h2. And in that way I will proceed. So if x2 is the last block, so this is the final hash output. If x2 is not the last block, I can proceed further. So for example, there are x3. So h2 is the previous hash output, and x3 is going to give me the hash value h3, which is the hash output of this x3, or it may be h3 and x4, which is going to give me the hash value h4. Suppose there are only 4 blocks, so the h4 will be the final hash output of this entire message x. So that is the entire design of SHA-1. The conclusion is that something like hash function SHA-1, it generates 160 bits from 512 bit input, and it is very fast also. Recall, in our SHA-1 design we have only used XOR and some bit flipping. So some bit will come from first position or first few positions, that will go to the last position. So such sort of rotation or bit flipping we have used. So it is very fast, though there are 80 rounds, but ultimately your SHA-1 is going to produce the hash output in a very efficient way, and it is very popular also. So with this I would like to conclude. Thanks for watching.